WOKEN. Hi. Okay, Rachel, I'm just sent you an invitation to go technology for the win. Loading. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hey.
Yay, great. Okay, I can hear you. I can't see you.
Uh-oh. Hold on. That's not good. Wait, it says live access needed to go live. Oh gosh, I don't think it's letting me. Wait, this is so strange.
Yeah,
It
it's
says
not
you'll
letting me
connect
ask you
using
either.
audio only. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you don't have this feature yet. That's okay. We can still hear you perfectly. So
Okay.
I say we go through with it, yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, welcome. I'm sure more people will join and come in and out, but let's begin. So, welcome, Rachel. I'm so glad that we get to speak today because so a lot of the people who know me through TikTok follow my account because they're very interested in understanding what is the ideal mindset in order for them to achieve their goals, and then how do they get rid of limiting beliefs to access those goals.
Right.
Topic that's often top of mind is career. So getting understanding what is the ideal mindset as you're going into figuring out what is the career for you, getting rid of a lot of those limiting beliefs that stand in their way, everything from the I don't know if I can to imposter syndromes to the fear of interviewing to getting rejected, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it would be wonderful to get you on the phone or on TikTok Live and get to ask the questions like, what is the real deal? So if you can, please tell everybody what is Woken? Who are you and what is Woken?
Yes, awesome. Um, so thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. My name is Rachel Surwitz, and I'm a career coach. So my company Woken helps individuals, just like anyone listening today, and we help with all different types of career goals, and that does include your mindset. It does include your accountability, and it also includes all of the practical strategies, whether you're networking or interviewing or dealing with resume. I mean, it's all the nitty gritty stuff. But over the years, I've learned it's not just the surface level. It's not just the job search and the interview and the resume. There's our mindset is affecting us whether we want to believe it or not. And so over the years, I have learned how critical it is to tap into that for job seekers and just any individual in the workplace. So yeah, we're very career coaching, holistic. But we pretty much help with all kinds of career goals and challenges. Our forte is helping you to clarify your direction. So if you're not sure which path you want to take, I know that's always a huge, huge question, and we do help
Yeah.
with that. So yeah, we're here for all the careers questions.
And so the first question for you then is, so if you are in that spot where maybe you have a job right now, you're not that happy with it, but you don't have any idea what to do next, what are some of the top advice that you'd have for them? Other than
Yes.
going to Woken.
Yes. So, I mean, look, step number one, you really just kind of want to identify what's going on. Because look, we're always, thinking the grass is greener. We're always wanting something better for ourselves, which is wonderful. But you want to get very specific, right? A lot of people have this nebulous feeling of like, oh, this isn't good. I want something better. But it's like, let's get really specific, right? So what I would do is break it down into these three parts. I think about role, I think about industry, and I think about environment. So you
Hmm.
really want to think about, is it the function of your day to day? Is it the work you're doing throughout the day that you're really not aligning with? Or is it the industry you're a part of, or is it the company culture? So those are like, it's a pretty simple but powerful three-part framework to figure out what are those areas of improvement and then we can
Mhm.
figure out what to do about it, right? So that would kind of be the quickest answer, and obviously there's so much more to it, but first starting point is really just understanding what's going on for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, what would you say is the ideal mindset or inner dialogue that people should adopt when they're beginning to ask themselves those questions, beginning to figure out and understand what's really going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's, yeah. Oh, hello, puppy. I think a lot of times people, it's hard to tell, like, is it me? Am I over exaggerating some of these problems?
Uh-huh.
Things like that. So how do I get very objective and sort of fair with, am I in a situation that I really should exit? Or is there a way for me to actually better this situation? Should I try to
Mm,
influence and manage up and manage my manager or take on a new project, right? Is there ways to change or optimize where I am? Or is
yeah,
it, I've tried everything and I have to truly exit and find a new space, a new company, a new situation? So I think, a great way to do that is just getting another pair of eyes and ears. Whether it's a
mm,
friend, a peer, a mentor, a coach, whoever it may be, because sometimes we just can't tell, like if we're exaggerating or not. And so it's really
yeah,
important. And a big part of what I do is help people understand, like, are you in truly a toxic situation or not? And if a career coach has a lot of perspective, right? Because I hear hundreds of stories about hundreds of companies. So just sort of getting, I don't know if I want to say validation, but trying to understand, where does your situation actually stand? Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, okay, so let's just say in that situation, they've spoken to people, they realize that it's not just in their head, they are in a situation. They maybe then know they want to get into a new career, new job. What would you say are some of the limiting beliefs or fears that prevent them from taking that next step?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of common ones. I think a big one is, a lot of people, I would say, for many years feel like they want to change, they want something better, but they're not sure what that thing should be, right? And so, like, what
Yeah.
direction should I go down? And so a lot of people linger in the unknown for a long time. And so it's like, I know I want
Mm,
more, but I'm not taking action because I don't know where I'm headed.
yeah.
So, for that, I would just make sure to get a little comfortable to be and embrace that uncertainty, and actually just sort of swim in that
Mm,
and just
hmm.
embrace that and learn and reflect and get really deep in understanding your many options. And so creating some structure and creating comfort out of uncertainty by embracing it, I would say, is the first step to avoid just feeling stuck. I mean,
I
there's so
love
many
that.
other ones. Sometimes people just don't know whether they're capable of pursuing the path they want, right? Like, there's so many other potential factors, but I would say, yeah, happy to go into any of the others if you want me to.
Yeah, yes, yes, please, because even the one about embracing uncertainty and getting comfortable with uncertainty, that's a perfect limiting belief that then I can take and do a small hypnosis
Yeah.
audio
Oh,
on for
let's do it.
people.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are some other ones? So you said embrace uncertainty. You
Yep.
mentioned people often get stuck of thinking, am I even capable?
Yes, that's a big one. And what I always say to that is, we have to learn, right? We have to understand, how do people break into this? What are the realities? What are the patterns? What's the data? Like, who gets
Uh,
hired? And then when you have all the facts, you can decide, is that a path I want to go down? Am I interested in pursuing that? Am I interested in developing those skills? But try to
mm-hmm.
gather that information. I think a lot of people make decisions based on emotion instead of information. Like, you might look at a job posting and
Oh, it's a good one.
you might feel like, I'm not a fit. And so you'll just sort of have this emotional reaction when you look at the job posting, and then you sort of just X out of it. And it's like, well, you should really just wrestle with that information and analyze it. And maybe you do meet 7 out of the 10 requirements, right? So, yeah, emotion definitely drives a lot of the decisions. And it's normal to feel stress and fear. But I always like to translate those things into something a little more constructive, right? Like if you have an uncertainty or if you have something you're not feeling good about with job search, we can always turn that into a next step of some kind where you learn more
Mm-hmm.
or you get more prepared, you get more strategic, you get more informed, you get more guidance. And so I always love to say, like, when you're stuck, noticing that thing is an opportunity. Even though the feeling is so uncomfortable, you can then say to yourself, oh, that's perfect because now I know exactly what I need to do, you know?
Oh, so these are so good because we can also do a thing where we help people visualize ahead of time. Okay, them opening up a job description. Let's just say it's on LinkedIn, and then feeling that emotion instead of feeling like, oh, I'm not capable and clicking out, as you said, but rather switching that mindset to say, no, no, no. Let me just first gather information, get some
Yeah.
facts. Do I have 7 out of 10? And then move it to what could be the next step in order to strategically be ready to to be a click for that role.
Yeah. I always
I
love
love
just a
that.
quick reframing, right? Like almost
Hmm.
any limiting belief, you kind of just have to challenge yourself to flip it around. And, you could say to yourself, I'm not a fit for that job. Or you could say, I'm going to go figure out what job I am a fit for. Or maybe I'm
Yeah.
not a fit for that job. And then you could say, okay, I'm going to fill those skill gaps and I'm going to figure out what I need to do. Right. Or I'm not sure if I'm a fit for this job. I'm going to go learn from people who do that job. So, like, almost any of these limiting beliefs, you can totally push into like just something a little more, healthy and constructive and just, yeah, noticing those uncomfortable things, but those are useful. Those are tools.
Yeah. Yeah. And you highlighting these today is gold. You're right, because they're all changeable. It's just a slight reframe. Okay, so then moving forward in the process, let's say they book the interview. Here, I would imagine becomes a whole other set of fears, doubts, and what would be an effective mindset instead. Can you
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit more about just general coaching of how do you get into the right mindset to have an effective interview?
Yeah. Um, So I actually have a meditation that's like a pre-interview meditate. I've started building some meditations and I should do more. Maybe we
Amazing.
should we should collaborate on this, but I
We should.
have I
And
have
send
one
me
that's
the
like
link. Wait, oh,
yeah.
it's part of your program.
Yeah, well no,
Okay.
it's all free stuff. On our website there's a ton of free stuff and I should be building more meditations, but I have a few and one of them is like this pre-interview meditation, right? And it's like what do you
Incredible.
literally listen to the 5 minutes before you walk in?
Amazing.
And
Okay, I'm so excited to link to that.
yeah, and it's like you kind of just got to find your calm and your center and just there's a few things I could say. Number one, like pretend it's just like an important work meeting, right? Which it is. Imagine you were on the job and you were meeting with some VP or senior person and you'd be a little more on your toes, you'd be prepared, you'd be focused a little more than otherwise and
Yeah.
yet you would still be yourself. You'd still try to be in the moment and really be thoughtful. But you'd be a little more, focused than usual or whatever that may be. So I always say in interview, it's like you turn the light switch on. You walk in and it's not like you're going to be somebody you're not. You're just like that little extra push of who you are. And then guess what? As soon as the conversation ends, you turn the light switch off. You could go take a nap, but it's just that one moment to like turn it on. The other ways I would just think about it is trying to diminish, like it's very normal for like our literally like our Maslow's hierarchy of needs to kick in and everyone's kind of like, I need this job, and so you kind of want to
Yeah.
remind yourself you have a roof over your head, you're safe, you have your family, you have your support system, you're going to be okay even without this job. It's totally okay. Because if you walk in and you're just like jiving and you're confident and you have that energy, that's the person they
Yeah.
want to meet. But subconsciously, like physically, we do often get nervous because we want it. And so just reminding yourself you don't need it.
Yeah.
And just remembering like they're meeting you. They could be learning
Yeah.
something from you in that
Hmm.
conversation and you're going to learn from them. So it's
Right.
this very neutral playing field. Don't feel like they're going to eat you alive. It's you're meeting them, they're meeting you, and we're all just meeting each other. and we're learning from
Mhm.
one another. It's just a conversation. So these sort of reminders. The other thing I tell people is like trying to get in a memory of a time when you were just in flow, like when you were your
Mm.
most like jazzed, like
Uh-huh.
think about a time in your life or at work when you were like leading the project, or you were just sort of jamming out and you were just crushing it. Like that is the version of you, right? Who
Uh-huh.
shows up, because we all have different moods, and it's like, but that person, that version is the one who walks in the door that day, you know?
There's a technique in hypnosis. It's called the switch technique. And what you do is, yeah, you imagine what you want to feel like based on a memory that when you felt that way. It could be something completely unrelated. Like let's just say you feel jazzed up when you're cooking. And so, yeah, you essentially are doing a self hypnosis technique with what you just said. So super,
Oh my
super
God,
cool.
I love it.
Another thing that you said that I want to call out is and reinforce is they also need you. It reminds me a bit of what I say to entrepreneurs when they're going out for clients is there's there's 8 billion people in this world. There's at least a handful of them that are dying to get access to what you are selling. And
Mm.
similarly with the job interview, there's a handful of people that are looking for you as the talent, and they're stressed out and they're trying to find you, and so just walking into the interview of not only do I need the job, but there's a percentage of people out there that are dying to also meet me.
Yes, I love that. I love that. It's so true. I mean, yeah, they're probably tired of doing the interviews as
Just
well. They need
they
help on their team. They're understaffed. They're like probably taking on
exactly.
extra responsibilities that you should be doing. And yeah, like you want to show up and be like, yeah, I'm happy to take that off your plate. I'm happy to run with that. Here's when I've done that before. And just like sort of stroll in
Mhm.
and help them. Like you're just immediately adding value from that first conversation,
Yeah.
giving ideas, giving strategies, showing them how you would take charge. Like, boom, if you're the person like showing how you'd add value right there from the get go, like you're hired. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, great advice. Okay, and so final mindset question I have for you is rejection. So
mm,
you're interviewing, you're getting potentially a lot of rejections, either just cold ones where you're just not you're getting an email after you've submitted an application, or warmer ones where you've gone through the interview process and they still say no to you. And you're hearing that again and again and again. What advice do you have for people in that situation?
yeah. Well, so there's two things. Like when you're hearing the automatic rejections right after your application, first, I would just have perspective and education on this is a tough job market, and you might be perfectly qualified and still hearing the rejections right off the bat. And it may not even make any sense. Like, you know, and so just having perspective on like there's a broader
Mm,
situation at large, and you're a part of a system that is broken, unfortunately. So like you kind of have to work your way around the system, break in,
mm,
get creative, and network your way in, because unfortunately I just made a video about this. People really are relating their value to the results they're seeing in job search. But you
yeah,
really have to
it's true.
remember that job search can just be hard and it's very imperfect, and that may have nothing to do with you. Like the ATS system and all these things are just very imperfect. So that's
Mm,
step number one, is just educating
okay.
yourself. And then the other piece is like, say you have an interview and you don't get it. You know, of course you want to reflect, you want to be self-aware, and you want to improve. I mean, it is a learning opportunity. And you want to also recognize there's many things outside of your control. Like they could have easily hired somebody internally, or maybe they put the role down, they closed the role, or their budget changed,
Mm,
or, you know,
hmm.
they changed the scope of the role. I mean, there could be any number of things that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, right now, we're in a market where a lot of qualified people, um, you know, you may be have been a perfect fit, and yet there was also someone who was a perfect fit. And so we're in that kind of a situation. So it takes a lot of resilience. And so I would just
Mm,
try to balance like, what can I learn and what can I do better? But what are all the things outside of my control? And how do I sort of pick up my bootstraps the next day? And just giving yourself self care and a little extra TLC. Don't, you know,
mm,
beat yourself up over all of this. Like we just have to take what we can take and leave the rest. It's like what's some constructive stuff we can learn, and then the rest we leave behind, because it's we can't absorb all of the, it feels kind of negative, but just know that it's normal, and we're gonna learn what we can from it, and we keep pushing forward.
Great. Again, a bunch of inner inner dialogue, things that people can say to themselves after each rejection. So yeah, I'm excited to help people play with that as well. And then one question we had from the audience was from Kevin. And so his question was, are great people managers mostly born, personality type, or made? Who is it
Mm,
not for? What soft skills does it take to do it right?
to be a great manager.
Yeah, so maybe that's a lot of questions. Let's start with the first one. Are great people managers mostly born, personality type, or made? What's your opinion on that?
Oh man, I mean, there's nature and nurture, right? So I think it's both. I think it's absolutely both. But look, I think a lot of people become managers, and oftentimes we're never really taught how to become a great manager. So if it's uncomfortable to you, we all have strengths and weaknesses, right? So there might be one manager that really enjoys some element of it, and there might be another manager that's great at a different element. So no one's perfect by any
Mm,
means, but I think like any job, you sort of relate yourself across the expectations, and then you say, what do I need to work on, right? And so you may naturally really enjoy parts of it, you may need to work on other parts of it. But I would say, again, so many people are now managing teams, and truthfully just know that most people who manage have not been given that training. And so I would say understanding that there are a lot of learned skills, and you should go out of your way, if your company's not already providing that training, to learn how to manage, how to have EQ, how to listen to your team, how to support your team, even if that training's not being given to you. So I guess to the question, a lot of it can be learned. And I would say what is nature is just the natural personality of your typical strengths and weaknesses. But how does your personality play out as a manager? You want to learn about yourself, and then just, dive into, okay, I've got to work on this one skill or whatever it may be, and just being good at giving and receiving feedback. Your team will tell you, if you're open to saying, what can I do better as a manager? And just saying that to the people that you manage, I mean, that's half the battle right there. And just create a safe space where they're willing to share with you. I mean, you're kind of making life a lot easier if you're willing to be honest. Not everybody is, but that would be
yeah.
a big step forward, to becoming a great manager, I would say.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. And the thing, something that you said inside there that I'll pull out is there are many different, I'm putting it in my own words though. There are many different types of managers out there, right? In different teams, different companies require different, different skill sets. Some maybe need extroverted managers, some need introverted, some may need a manager that leads with logic. Some may need a manager that leads with emotions. So yeah, it makes sense that it's understanding what does that particular management role need. How do you click against it? Where do
Yeah.
you fit? Where do you not? And then yeah, how do you fill in those gaps? And with every one of your answers so far, I really like how you're saying understand what the gap is, whether it's a skill you need to learn, soft skill, hard skill, and then just figure out how do you then fill that gap versus there's a gap, close the door. I
Right.
think that's really
Right.
empowering.
Exactly. It's a journey. You're
Hmm
gonna, right. You absolutely can fill those gaps if you want to. But yeah, I think, right.
Yeah.
A lot of people notice the gap and then they shut down. The
hmm
other thing to what you're saying also is not only there's different types of managers, but with each manager, say you have a team of five, each person on your team is going to need different things. So I think the key of management is just
Mm-hmm.
understanding who you are and understanding who each of your team members are individually, and just relating to each person, which truly is like training on emotional intelligence. I mean, that's what it all is about. And so that's the
Yeah.
training that, you can go get if you haven't already.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. And then the other question from the audience was, Humans are so complex with a variety of preferences, likes, passions, skills, etc. Sometimes don't know how to drill down to what's critical for finding a job to thrive in. Any
Mm,
advice on that?
yes. So when I hear somebody talk about a job that I would thrive in, to me, that means what am I best at? What is my best fit path, right? So I would come back to that role, industry, environment framework, right? Because a job is made up into different things. The role is literally the role title of what you're doing day to day, your skills, your responsibilities. Then there's industry. So you might be part of a company that's in a certain sector, whether it's in finance or education or climate tech or whatever. And then you got in the environment. So the culture of the organization, the size of the organization, things like that. So when you're thinking about clarifying your direction, you want to clarify your path in each of those three buckets. In terms of the role, I mean, I could walk you guys through like a sort of mini version of the career assessment, but you want to think about I mean, if you have any experiences in the past that you did really align with, absolutely reflect on those.
Mm,
If there are things you know you're great at and have been craving of doing more of, you kind of just want to create this laundry list of all the verbs, those action phrases, those activities, those skills that you're best at, that you're natural at. And then when you take it down to the root of like, okay, I'm great at researching, I'm great at analyzing, I'm great at this, then it's like, okay, what are some role titles that relate to some of those core skill sets? You're probably going to come up with some options at that point, and you're not going to know 100% which job it is. And that's when you deep dive into learning. And you're really just trying to
mm.
understand what these jobs are in relation to who you are. And the more you deep dive into the learning, the more you're going to reflect and say, okay, this one seems a little better than that one, and here's how they differ, and here's how it relates to me. So that's what exploration is all about. You're just doing this very deep dive into learning about roles and relating it back to you. In a nutshell, that is the quickest way I can try to explain it.
I understand to answer that question well, it's a long process. So tell us, a final question for you is tell us about your program. How do you help people go from these ambiguous questions to being hired into the job that they do thrive in?
Yes, absolutely. So, we start if somebody needs clarity, right, then we will absolutely guide them through the process of career exploration to make sure you know exactly what direction you are the best fit for. From there, we will help you determine if there's any upskilling that is relevant. So we already talked about that today, but like if there's
Mm,
skill development opportunities, if there's a course or something that you're debating, we want to make sure it's the most worth your time. Then we
mhm.
help with personal branding. So once you know what path you want to pursue, we got to make you look that way essentially with the resume and the LinkedIn and your professional summary and how do you talk about yourself and your skills. And a lot of people struggle with that. So we help you edit all those materials. And
Mhm.
then we move into job search and we teach you how to network, which is the number one most important thing in job searching. So how do you network and meet the right people? And then obviously mock interviews and all the good stuff that gets you, well on your way and basically taking people from A to Z to get to your next role.
And then how do they find you?
Yeah.
How do they enroll?
Yes. So our website is iamwoken.com. And we have a ton of free resources on there as well. But we always offer a free initial call. So if you want to talk about you and your goals and your challenges and your timeline and your hesitations and all these types of things, we always have a coach there to listen and give suggestions. So that would be a good sort of way to learn more about us and how we can help. But our site
Great.
has a ton of free resources as well if you just want to read some blogs and watch some videos and check out some of those meditations as well.
Great. Um, I'm excited to share clips of this tape because I do think it will be insightful for so many people who um, are on this side of on the mindset side of TikTok of just how to enter into that right mindset in order to keep moving forward. And to summarize everything you said, I think the consistent theme was instead of when you hit a gap or a block, shutting the door and saying, "Oh, not for me," how do you keep that exploratory mindset? Understand how do you learn more, and then how do you upskill And I think what's really cool about your particular program is that you're partnering along with them through that. So every time they may want to say, "Oh, nope, I don't have what it takes," shut the door. You're like, "No, no, no! Like, let's learn together. Let's upskill. Let's then make your resume. Let's then figure out how to get in front of the right people and network." So
Yeah.
super, super cool.
Yeah. No,
Anything
that's
else
exactly
you
right.
want to
Mhm.
share?
No, this has been awesome. I mean, look, there's so much to it. Careers can be very stressful, and that's simply because it's an important thing. When you place such importance on it, it might
Yeah.
cause some stress, but by having the right support, you can achieve, what you can really strive for where you're going. So have support, whether it's a coach, a peer, a mentor, whoever it may be. Yeah, that would be the big thing. I think when you're sort of in your own head, it's very easy to get stuck and stay stuck, right? But whether you're on
Yeah.
TikTok live, you're doing a hypnosis, or you're with a community or whoever it may be, you get outside of your own way, right? And that's kind of the important thing.
Well, then let's end on that positive, encouraging note.
Yes.
Rachel, a
Awesome.
pleasure as always,
Yes.
and we'll talk offline.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.